Hello there folks, SeKo Rumcraft here, having some drinks, casting the finals of the Go for SC2, whichever cup this is, whichever tournament it is. Anywho, we've got hOpe versus Hyun. Two amazing players, though I haven't seen Hyun, dominating in the likes of the WCS or things of that nature. The guy's always been baller at these small, in-between tournaments. Had some amazing records when it came to these. So I give him the slight favorite, even though it's a ZvZ and everything is open. ZvZ is a matchup where there's some people are just killer at it, but for the most part, it's a game that just about anybody can win. Like if there was a matchup, a mirror matchup, or probably any matchup in general, that if I was put up against a pro player I think I could win at, it would probably be ZvZ. If I had to put my money on anything that I think I had the best chance at. That's only because you can build strategies sometimes that just completely counter your opponents. There isn't anything that's like super safe that's really good in the late game or mid game. So if you were to go to like a 12 pool, just for the sake of being defensive, that's fine. But if you don't do damage with it, your opponent that's actually going for a standard expand, like Hyun's doing, you find yourself further behind. Now, as I would expect, neither of these players, this is game one of a best of 5 people. Neither of them is actually going to be going for anything too crazy. One's pool first, one's hatch first. The next one's going to be hatch after and pool after. You come out with essentially the same plays. I think somebody did the math. And the most advantage you get out of going hatch first is a maximum of 2 drones if you're perfect in all of your timings. But having queens out sooner in the first inject essentially reverses that within a couple of minutes. So, really, everybody's in the same position. We have a gas, though, out of hOpe. Whereas on the side of Mr. Hyun, he does not have a gas. There's an interesting dynamic of ZvZ, and I absolutely hate playing ZvZ, but I just find that if I am going to play ZvZ, because I play random on map, it means that I have to get a gas, I have to get speed, and I have to get some banelings out. Just to stop against massive 2 base all-ins. That's it. You have to do it. But there is a school of thought that says, well, if I don't get that gas, and maybe I just get out enough units to defend, I can move into a higher tech sooner and skip over speed and banelings. Maybe just go straight to roaches, which is generally the staple of ZvZ these days. Units-wise, we do see a pretty even setup right now for both players. You say there's the slightest worker lead, exactly 2 drones for Hyun, but once again, we have inject sooner for one player, and extra queens already in production. We see Hyun is actually getting himself out 4 queens total. His decision is, I'm not going to get banelings and zergling speed. I'm going to get out extra queens. We'll probably even see a wall off here soon. He'll probably spread his creep, get some evo chambers, and maybe a crawler. And he's going to play something a little bit mid-game. He's going to try and skip this early game zergling, baneling, dance of death that we see hOpe going for. And go for something extremely... something that if he plays it right, he'll move into the mid-game with an amazing advantage, because he has skipped all this tech and investment. Looks like he wants to chase down this Overlord. You're going too far. I was almost worried for a second that he'd get too far away and maybe there'd be lings out on the map. But he should get this Overlord just fine. hOpe will be supply blocked momentarily, but he's already got 3 Overlords in production on the other side. Couple of links coming across the map. I'm sure Hyun knows the drill. I'm sure he knows that because he has skipped speed and banelings, that he is in a different position here. 4 gases go down all at the same time. I wonder if this is going to be an intention of 2 base Amuta. The only reason I say intention, it's very difficult to bust that. Hyun is going to have to counter somebody that has got speed and a 3rd base, so there's absolutely no chance of Hyun stopping a macro machine out of hOpe in the near future. Wall is completed, crawler down, queen's out. By this point, I'll usually get rushed by about 40 zerglings and some banelings and just die. But in this case, Hyun, though he's supply blocked, seems to have things fairly figured out. Looks like he's going to try and sneak a third base as well, which I find maybe a little bit aggressive, though hOpe hasn't made a ton of units. Somewhat surprising with speed. You'd think he'd play around it a bit more. Did he seek out that third base? Alright, both players know there are 3 bases for each of them. Actually, another Overlord kill. It's pretty sweet. It'd be funny if your creep could actually stop another Zerg player from getting down a hatch. This Overlord, I don't think will get away. It might, just because there's only one queen shooting. It's just got to get over the high ground here. But I think he's going to lose it anyways. So both of these players have skipped over big zergling baneling play. And that gives Hyun a bit of an advantage. You can see the supply lead. So moving into upgrades and roaches, it seems like they're fairly equal. But because there's been no investment in speed and banelings, it means that Hyun can get out a little bit more tech, have a little bit more economy. And if we look at the worker count, he's just got that slightest bit of a lead. And sometimes that's really all that matters in a ZvZ. Hyun took a bit of a risk in not going for any zergling baneling. And it looks like it might pay off for him. Third base is down a little bit later, so he doesn't have that third base macro ability. But I think he is where he wants to be position-wise. Tons of roaches. As I said, upgrades almost identical. The only difference is that little bit of an early advantage for Hyun in that armor. Overseer sees the timing of this base. Some drones already there working. If I had to look at this, it just looks like Hyun is playing a little bit more confident. But that doesn't mean that he's just going to come out on top because of that. Let's look at the roach count right now. We got 21 to 19, pretty even. 9 more roaches on the way. It looks like Hyun's about to take a bit of a roach lead, and a pretty big supply lead. There's this thing, though, which is this... Oh, no, hOpe. hOpe caught himself in a terrible position. Oh, no. What I was about to say is there's this concept where you go for a roach push against your Zerg opponent, and if he deflects, he will counter with so many more units that he will simply just run over you. That's the risk you take from pushing out too soon with roaches. But Hyun just got so lucky with hOpe moving out across the map with less roaches and lost a lot. Reinforcements are already rallied in. There is the defender's advantage with Zerg, obviously. But it just looks like with that armor that's not finished yet for hOpe, Hyun's just going to power through this. He hasn't done any economic damage yet, but he's still got a ton of roaches open to him. 15 more on the way for him. 10 for hOpe. He's starting to build some lings as well because he doesn't have the gas to be able to support more. Drones getting pulled, and there's almost no really good outcome from pulling your drones against a roach pressure. I mean, you have to, but the problem is they die so fast, and they really don't do that much for you. Man, that's what I call an unfortunate situation. hOpe essentially got rolled for one bad move in that whole game. Well, as I said, Hyun thinks a slight favorite in this. This is a best of 5, so game 1 goes to Hyun, and we will see you guys real soon.